Hey, everybody. Welcome to the HIT.OR.DIE podcast, episode 71. We're here with your hosts, Jake Saldati and Chad Rothford. To reach the show, we're on YouTube. Go subscribe to our YouTube channel. Watch our videos. We're also on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. So please help us out. Go share it, retweet, get it out to as many people as possible because we're just doing this for you guys.
And a store, right? We're going to open up a store again with limited things.
Yeah, we're going to open up a store. It's going to come out Sunday night at 11:59. So Monday morning, we'll run it for 2 weeks till September 13th. We're going to have two hat options.
That's one.
This is one. So this is a black camo with a black bill, and then it's got our patch. And then we're going to have the same hat, so the black camo with black bill with the white HIT.OR.DIE.
Like this.
Like Jake's, it's going to be white embroidered on there.
This shirt.
We're going to have that shirt in the dry fit and also in the cotton 50-50 blend. We'll have the dry fit hoodie with that logo on it. And then we're going to have a new short, which is going to be a graphite short with the black HIT.OR.DIE logo on it. And then since COVID's going, we don't know how long it's going to go. We're just going to throw out a couple masks. We're going to have the Gator mask, which is going to be a camo Gator mask with the white logo. And then we'll have just the regular face mask, black with our logo on that as well. So yeah, just go get some stuff. I know I'm going to get some stuff. I always do. We probably are best. We probably buy the most out of everything. But yeah, it's good quality stuff, and it's nobody can beat our prices. I've already seen that with the stuff that we put out.
I mean, any money we make, we put into this.
We don't make money.
No, absolutely not.
And not any money we make.
It pays to host the podcast and some other stuff. So, but yeah, no, we're definitely not. This is not a job. Well, it's a job. It's all free though.
Yeah.
Before we get into today's episode, we over the weekend we had the sad news of passing of Vince Wesson, and I wasn't extremely close. Coaching at Clovis West, KP was pretty tight with him, and there were on different occasions a handful where we'd all hung out, and it was heartbreaking. So young and just very well respected, and his impact on the community and people that he'd been around for so many years, and you see all the tributes on Twitter and Facebook, and it's our hearts and prayers are with their family, and condolences to all the friends and people that were super close and tight to him. It's like 2020, man. It's just been a rough year, and a lot of people have lost loved ones, and I know our program has struggled the last few months with certain things, and Coach Bennett, and it's just the season, and now we're dealing with all the effects of Mother Nature with fires and hurricanes and all the political stuff. So we just wanted to make sure we reach out and make sure we people know that we're definitely thinking about the families, and Vince Wesson is going to be missed obviously by a lot of people. So just wanted to pay a little tribute to him and respect. I know my dad, first thing he said was, how much he loved listening to commentary on the Friday night football or Thursday night football. And that's just a small sliver of things that he did for people in the community. And over the course of, you're seeing people like CP play for him at Clark way back in the day. And it's just a sad deal, and he definitely will be missed. So just respect to Mr. Vince Wesson and his family. Today's guest is going to be the Sacramento State head baseball coach, Reggie Christiansen. We're going to try to get him here on the Zoom app and kind of talk about, he put out a proposed schedule for the West Coast.
It's actually really cool.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I can imagine how much time he put into it, splitting up.
And it makes sense.
Yeah, splitting up, was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 basically pods. Regions. And playing roughly 49 to 50 games. This will be the first Division I coach we've talked to since the pandemic hit. So it'll be interesting to get a take on how their program has responded with players. And, I definitely wanted, interesting to see what he says about the rosters and going forward. with roster size and seniors coming back and recruiting. So we're going to get Coach Christiansen on here and stick around for more HIT.OR.DIE podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the HIT.OR.DIE podcast, episode 71. We're here with head coach from Sacramento State, Reggie Christiansen. Coach Christiansen, thank you for joining us on the show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Just a little background on you. You played 4 seasons at Menlo College. You were also the head coach there in 2002. And then from 03-04, you were an assistant at Kansas for Coach Price. And then you were the head coach at South Dakota State for 4 years from 05 to 08. And then 09 and 10, you were the assistant at Sac State. And then from 2011 to present, you've been the head coach at Sacramento State. You're a 2-time WAC Coach of the Year, 2012, 2014, 3-time WAC champion, 14, 17, and 19, and 2 40-plus win seasons in 2014 and 2019, and 2012 and 2014 MLB Northern California Scouts Division I Coach of the Year. Led program to first NC2A Regionals appearance in 2014 and again in 17 and 19. 21 players have been selected in the MLB draft since taking over as the head coach in 2011. So pretty solid resume there. And we, as we always tell our guests, guests,
definitely go check out the bio
and resume and
pretty. Is Reese Hoskins the only MLB guy you have, or I was trying to do some more looking into that?
Only guy Sac State. So currently, right now, when I was at South Dakota State, we have a couple guys that were pitching the big leagues right now. Caleb Thielbar with the Twins. He's pretty cool story. Went 5 years. 2015 he was up, and then kind of bounced around and back in 2020. He's actually out of the game for a little while. And then Blake Trinan was a guy that we had recruited. I didn't coach Blake. I came to Sacramento State, but Blake's obviously had a pretty good run. So those are the 3 guys that I've had something to do with that are currently playing in the big leagues right now.
Oh, that's great for the program. Speaking of, we were talking earlier, we're fortunate enough here in the Central Valley to play a lot of SAC teams and out of Valley teams, and they always come here and talk about how awesome the facilities are and stuff. But I think what we don't talk about it enough is how good the baseball is in that area. With Folsom, Elk Grove, you name it. There's a bunch of Granite Bay and Casimus Oaks is up there. There's a lot of great baseball. Just kind of talk about some of the talent in your area.
Yeah, I really think you've seen in the last 10 years there's always been a great talent in the Sacramento area dating back to well before I got here. But I think in the last 10 years, you've seen more people move to the Sacramento area from the Bay Area, obviously because of the affordability of houses in the Sacramento area. So there's just so many good quality programs, both high school and junior college in our area. It's pretty fun to be a part of, trying to keep the bigger schools out the best we can. I think we're doing a pretty good job of keeping some of those kids at home.
And when you're getting into recruiting, and are there specific keys, or I know a lot of guys, academics are obviously important, but what are some things that you guys are definitely looking for in a player to come to Sac State?
Yeah, I just think you're looking for guys that love the game, that they're addicted to baseball, that they love to watch it, they love to play it, they love to talk about it. Because your window is so short of being a college baseball player, and we really want as many guys as we can find that really want to pursue their dream of playing in the big leagues, as playing as long as they can. So I think that's the first thing. When you go watch them play, does it look like they're enjoying playing the game? Do they have a smile on their face? Do they play hard? Are they tough? And obviously the academic thing is important to me. We try the best we can to recruit kids with GPAs over 3.0. That way, when they get to campus, I know I don't have to worry about that area. We can just primarily focus on the baseball, and we have really good resources in place to help those guys academically. But, for whatever reason, I just don't have much time to worry about guys academically. I think that, you put in the work on the field. I want to make sure that you're doing everything you can in the classroom as well.
Now you have your pitching coach, Tyler Latore, has been also one of the recruiting coordinators for you guys. I'm fortunate if I got to play with him, and we've had him on the show. How nice has it been to have him come in and help out in that? Because you've been known for a lot of your assistants going on and getting big time Division I college jobs as well. So how do you feel Latoure's fitting into that mold for you?
Yeah, no, we've been really fortunate to have some guys come on and move on to some bigger positions and chase the dreams of being head coaches. And Tyler certainly fits in there. I hope we can keep Tyler for as long as we can. He's, I think, a rising star in our profession on the West Coast, and I think he's, from a recruiting standpoint, he connects very well with these kids and is just really diligent in the process and knows so many different people. As you know, he's just, you're not going to find anybody that says anything bad about Tyler. He's a likable guy and creates relationships along the way with high school coaches and travel ball coaches. And I'm certainly blessed to have Tyler alongside of us each and every day for sure.
And you guys have had some great success recently, and I think I saw you was the West Coast or California, one of the only team to have 8 straight 30-plus win seasons.
Yeah, I think right now it's us in Oregon State and us on the West Coast. Yeah, I think Cal State Fullerton a couple years ago, they had gone 40 years in a row. I think they are the program everybody looks to in terms of from the state. The CSU system. I think Cal State Fullerton, quite honestly, Fresno State are the two programs. When I got to Sac State, you're trying to try to chase and try to catch. Those are two programs that have been at the top for a long, long time.
And then how was it getting into that Stanford Regional a couple years ago, and just how well that team played, and just even to get there and then winning the WAC tournament? And can you talk about that group real quick? Yeah,
I mean, it certainly wasn't. Things didn't go great during the course of the year from the way that you would draw it up, and then for those guys to win 6 games in that WAC tournament, to get there was just a magical run, and it was fun to be a part of. And then to go into that regional, with the 3 other teams that we're matched up with was, I think one of the toughest regionals in the country in 2019, and to get a chance to knock Santa Barbara off was cool for our guys. And so it was a great experience for our guys and something they're going to remember the rest of their lives.
Yeah, that was a pretty big punch in the gut for those. And did they throw they threw their ace too, right? The highly touted guy, and
they had, I think they had 3 guys that were kind of 1A. But yeah, I think we got to their closer at the end there. It was a back and forth game. Got a lot of respect for Coach Checketts and the job those guys do as well.
Absolutely. No, and then you get into 2020 and, it just comes to a screeching halt. And you're the first Division I coach we've talked to since it's happened. How has it been communicating with the players, and how have they been mentally the last 5 months now, 4 or 5 months?
I think initially, I think we all tried to talk to our guys as much as we can, stay in touch, whether it was Zoom. I think that we bounced some different ideas where we got those guys in small pods together to communicate with each other, and we just kind of rotated around. We had our trainer call everybody once a week. We had each assistant coach call everybody once a week, and just kind of change it up because it kind of got old, I think, for them to be on a Zoom with them and me be the only voice. So I think we tried to do some different things and create some talking about different things that are going on in our country at one point. So trying to make it more than just about the baseball, because the mental health issue, that is a concern with these guys not being around each other and not getting a chance to chase their dream. There's just so many questions when they're going to get to do it again. And we just tried to instill with them, focus on what you can do today and let everybody else worry about when we're going to get back out there. So they've been really, really positive, and I think they're itching to get back out there hopefully this fall.
And the plan, right? So everything academically right now is online?
Yeah, we're all online. We've submitted a plan from the baseball perspective and supposed to hear back from that here in the next day or so. It looks as if right now we're going to get a chance to do some small group stuff starting here in the next couple of weeks, which will be exciting for our guys.
So Chad mentioned earlier you came out on Twitter and proposed a schedule, a spring format proposal, which we thought was pretty awesome. Splitting up basically kind of the western part of the United States D1 programs. Has there what caused you to do it?
I don't know. I just sometimes throughout this whole thing, I think at the very beginning of COVID, I put something together about having our season in the fall. I mean, I'm just kind of a planner, and when I don't have something to plan for, it drives me crazy. So I just started looking around, and obviously with football being canceled, now you start to worry about, are we going to have another season canceled, which I think would be really, really difficult in so many different ways for the players, for the coaches, for the recruits that are coming in the next few years. So just trying to put something together to give us a chance to, play a 45, 50 game season with the landscape that we're in. And I think what I put out there was just an idea, and I've heard some good feedback. I've talked to probably a dozen Division I coaches on the West Coast about it. I think obviously everybody would like to maintain the schedule that we already had going into the season with our respective conferences. But I think if things don't go the way we want them to go, I think we need to be prepared to shift and pivot in a way that gives us a chance to do something. This was just an idea. For most part of California, you could essentially bus in the day of, play a doubleheader, bus home, and somebody else would come to you the next day, and we wouldn't be staying in hotel rooms. It would save money and be a little bit safer. So that was the thought, and who knows? I mean, obviously these decisions are way above me, but I just wanted to throw that idea out there.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned staying in hotel rooms. Kind of describe just how big of savings that would be on the budget for a full season.
I mean, it's gonna say everybody's a little bit different, right? Some of the Big West schools are already in a position where they don't have to stay overnight. So I think it's institution by institution, but us in Fresno, for instance, Fresno's got to get on a plane and fly to a lot of their out-of-state competition that they're in the Mountain West. They do have more bus trips than we do, but for us, it would be a huge savings. So I think what a lot of people don't realize, or maybe they do realize, but our budgets obviously now are impacted. But how are they going to be impacted in a year from now, after the state of California has gone through this from not people not making as much money, so you don't have the budget's going to be affected by that. So I'm just trying to find a way to keep the 50, 56 game seasons that we're used to playing, save money and be safe. And we'll see. I think there's going to be some changes here in the next couple of years in terms of what you see, in terms of how we travel and where we're allowed to go, just in the short term. And there's just so many things that administrators need to take a look at, which I think they are.
You were talking about like budgets and stuff. How has the guys coming in, the recruits that came in for your 2021 class, how's that affected anything with you guys, with guys leaving? Has any seniors come back? Did the draft affect guys leaving? With the expanded rosters, how's that affecting like pods, and we're as colleges, you're already coach to player ratio. It's already terrible. It's the worst. So now you have more players possibly with, still the same amount of coaches. So it's still, the ratio is worse.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be, based on, where you're at. For us right now, I think we'll have 38 or 39 guys on our roster this fall. We'll have two seniors that will come back that were affected by, obviously, the draft going to 5 rounds and not as many free agents being signed. We did have one senior sign as a free agent. That's Parker Brahms. He was the only one. But then it affected, 2, if not 3 juniors on our roster that potentially in a normal year would have been 6 to 10, and they would have been gone. So, it's a good thing in the short term that we're going to have some of those guys back. But in the long run, it's going to block some of those younger guys potentially. What's that going to look like from their development, and how are we going to make that work? So I think there's just so many things that are hard to answer right now. Hopefully play themselves out over the next 6 to 8 months for each program.
Could you even maybe possibly see, because back in the day, I'm talking about 70s and stuff, they used to have, like a JV team and a varsity team. That could almost be a possibility where you have almost like a fresh squad, and you guys could still have the same schedule and go play, those kind of teams. Do you think that might ever come about? I'm just throwing that out there right now.
I don't know. I think that you have to, the first thing that goes to my mind is that, Title IX and gender equity, right? I don't know, each institution would have to take a look at what that looks like. And I know, in talking to our folks, even though our roster is unlimited based on the NCAA allowing it, each institution that might not be the case from a Title IX gender equity number. So I think that we're probably okay at 37, 38. But I know, just hearing from other programs that are going to have 50 to 55 on their roster this coming fall. I mean, I don't know how they're going to make those numbers work from a Title IX gender equity number, because I don't think that we're going to be allowed just to discard that. So very interesting times we're in for sure.
Yeah, and then mentioning the coach to player ratio, is there a limitation to volunteers?
Yeah, we're only allowed to have one. So you have, 4 coaches, a head coach, 2 assistant coaches, and a volunteer. So you're really only allowed to have 4 coaches out there. I think the one area that, some of the bigger programs have tapped into, you can't have those pro guys that are coming back to school to finish their degree be undergraduate assistant coaches. So that's where I think you see some of those, programs. Trying to think, it seemed like Oklahoma State last year had some guys that were former pro guys that came back to finish their degree, and they could serve in an undergraduate assistant coach role. So, but again, that's case by case, institution by institution.
Right. And I mean, since we're there, I mean, how do you feel about that with the NCAA voting against a third assistant? I know Tyler was fairly vocal about it, just in regards to losing young coaches to pro ball, and where do you stand on that?
Well, so I started my career as a volunteer assistant at the Division I level, so I'm an advocate for that volunteer position to remain intact. I think when that legislation came out, the idea behind it was to add a third paid assistant coach, but keep the volunteer. And I don't know where that went wrong, but at some point they were going to, they're going the third assistant route and saying that, well, you can make a decision if that volunteer becomes the third assistant, or you just go out and hire someone else. And I'm an advocate to keep that true volunteer in place and add a third assistant coach, because I think what will happen is, I mean, if you're an SEC school, and I hate to use them because I can't really speak for them, but if you're one of those schools that can hire a third assistant coach at a $100,000 per year contract, I think those types of schools are more apt to go out and hire, a scout, professional scout that's going to come in and be more of a recruiter, scouter type guy. And that 24-year-old, 25-year-old guy like myself, when I started with Rich Price at Kansas, now where do you go? I don't think that you're going to be in that position to you just don't have the experience for someone to hire you as that third paid assistant. Does that make sense? I mean, so that's my take on it. For sure, we're understaffed in terms of the player to coach ratio, and something needs to change. But I think based on what we're going through right now with budgets across the country, I think we're probably further away now than we have been in a while to see that happen.
And then going back to the proposed spring format schedule, what has some of the conversation been like with coaches? Like, has it been received pretty positive, or has there been some, like, what is some of the feedback you're getting?
No, all the feedback's been good. I think everybody just right now wants to make sure they can maintain their conference schedule first. I think, whether it's the Big West or the Pac-12 or the Mountain West or the WCC, I think, and rightfully so, I think those guys would rather just continue with their, conference schedules as they were originally scheduled. But if something were to happen where that doesn't look like it's going to take place, I think this is a good option. And I think that's most of the people that have given me feedback, that's what they've said. So it's going to take a lot of coordination and cooperation with the conference affiliates, or the conferences on the West Coast, if something like that were to take place. So, which can, be a challenge, but I think there's a lot of baseball people in those groups that do care about the game. Baseball is a big deal out here on the West Coast, as you guys know.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree with that. And so, I mean, having said that, then kind of is there a plan in place for how the spring is going to go? I mean, obviously, I don't even know if we know what football is going to do in some areas. But what's the word out there as far as baseball's going?
I haven't heard much lately. I think right now they're trying to wrap their head around is football in the spring going to happen? If the schools in the South go football in the fall, does football in the spring make sense for the schools that have already canceled football in the fall? And then after that, I think the big thing you're seeing right now is basketball, right? The NCAA needs March Madness to happen. Somebody had given me the number, 90% of the revenue of the NCAA comes from March Madness. So March Madness needs to happen, and we got bigger issues than trying to figure out what the spring sports are going to do. So I think that's what they're trying to focus on right now. Which was understandable, but sometimes frustrating for us as coaches and players, knowing that we've already had one season canceled, and just hoping that there's some planning going on behind closed doors right now.
Yeah, I mean, the work these guys put in, it's, we've talked about it numerous times on here. It's daily. It's a lot of things. People show up to the spring games and see the product on the field and don't take a in mind of what they've done in the fall to get there. And I think with another thing with this schedule that you proposed is it has an opportunity to generate revenue with being so close to these other schools where Santa Clara is going to SAC, and you're going to get maybe more people track to these crowds. Whereas I'm in Fresno here, I'm not going to be able to go to San Diego State or last year Boise was in for a hot second. Where the schedule lineup is, it's a much easier task if you're looking to generate some revenue.
It's all like a 4-hour radius almost. Where
and I think, at the end of the day, I think regional play from a cost savings and generating revenue in all of our sports makes the most sense. But again, you're going to have to take a look at conference affiliation and what that looks like. But if our football or if our baseball and basketball programs, just picking those two out, it played each other every year. Sac State played UC Davis, Nevada, schools that are just right in our own backyard. We're going to generate more money and save more money. And then the same can be said with most schools if you just pair them up with a regional rivalry or somebody that's not already affiliated with them in conference. But again, those are decisions that are way higher than where I'm at right now.
Yeah, no, it'll be. I guess just kind of a wait and see game. I think we're in the same thing here, even with the high schools. So, it's pretty interesting.
I think the 1 year scenario thing is what's key. Is that they need to concentrate on that. Where it's like, okay, we're not proposing this for the rest of everything, but these kids need to play. These, we need to coach. We need to recruit, because you can't just stop the world from doing what it does. You're going to hurt everybody down to, high school for sure. You're going to hurt all the high school kids because now they're trying to talk about them staying back. And it's just going to hurt everything if we just don't play and continue the development and guys moving on.
Yep, no question.
Well, and you talk about incoming freshmen. How many kids see a roster of 50 players and, I'm going to go JC route?
Yeah, we had that happen. It's and quite honestly, can you blame them?
No.
It's a tough situation for them to be in, for sure.
No, and then, I don't know how you feel about it. I know Coach Batesell's been pretty vocal about it here, and we've had some instances in this area of over-recruitment. And I don't know if it's kids committing at 9th grade and 10th grade. What is your view on seeing stuff like that? And how many is it really that active, the over recruiting thing?
Yeah, if you just look at it on paper and you go to Perfect Game and you see how many kids are committed to school X, Y, or Z. Yeah, sometimes 19 kids have committed in a class, and then the next year they got 21 kids committed in a class. It's hard to really understand that, but I'm also not in their shoes, so I don't. If you're at, let's just use Arkansas, for instance. If you're at Arkansas, how many guys are you going to lose in the draft in those classes? So it's really hard for me to judge anybody based on what they're doing. I just do know that it's hard. I have two sons. I have a son that's a junior and a son that's a freshman. And when you're making a decision as a coach to offer them a scholarship and make a commitment to them, then you know what? In 2 years, you better not go back and say, you know what, you're not quite good enough, or you know what, we don't have room for you anymore. Because you've ruined that kid's opportunity to chase a chance to be somewhere else. So that's where I do have the problem with it. But for me to give an opinion or judge another program, it's hard for me because I'm not in their shoes. I don't know what it's like to be at some of those bigger schools and have to deal with the draft the way they have to deal with. We just don't have to deal with that here. But I do, I know Coach Batesell's been, as a lot of people have, very vocal about that. If you want to sign them now. Sign them on give them an NOI the day that they commit to you, rather than just be something that's verbal.
Yeah, and I think that might need to happen in the future, to be honest, because we talk about this, and I could just think now, from my sophomore year of high school to senior year, I almost got worse just because I was the big kid that, hit for power, but everybody kind of caught up to, and it's kind of hard to think of verbally committing or something that young and then still hoping that program wants you when you're a senior, and then you got to put up the numbers. You have a guy verbal commit as a sophomore, and that's the tough thing too. Is I think as a sophomore or 15-year-old, 16-year-old kid, that's a lot of pressure as well, putting on a kid that young, that mentally tough. I just don't think it's there yet at that, but
no, I agree with you 100% on that.
Just digging into you a little bit too, your coaching story. So you were assistant at Kansas at 24?
What was I? I think it was, I'm bad with years and age. Somewhere in there. Yeah, somewhere in there. I was a little bit later than that. Probably 26, 27. I think I was a head coach at South Dakota State at 28. So it would have been 26, 27 when I was at Kansas. Yep.
What were there any opportunities to continue to play after you finished up at Menlo, or was coaching something you knew you wanted to get right into?
I had independent ball opportunities, but I just quite honestly wasn't good enough. I knew that I wanted to get into coaching right away. I coached fourth grade basketball when I was in high school, sixth grade basketball when I was in high school. I coached my youngest brother's little league team when I was a senior in high school. I wanted to coach. I knew I wanted to coach, and I always had my eye on that. And I was always surrounded with some coaches that helped me almost be a coach when I was a player. So it's something I always wanted to do.
And it opened up the doors to some pretty good opportunities. And I was telling Chad, I still have it. I pulled it out. I'll show you two when we wrap up here. But back in, I think it was 7 or 8, I got to meet Coach Price at the ABCA, and couldn't have been a nicer guy. Sent me a whole packet of the practice DVDs, and one coach running an infield workout, and I mean everything, and even followed up throughout the year on how we were doing as a team, and it was pretty cool. But what are some things that you take away, especially being because we're young coaches, being 27, 28, 26, and getting that first job? I mean, how big is that just to get into D1 coaching?
Yeah, no, it was I was a head coach at Menlo College, and the first year we were 11 and 29, and I told my wife that I know that this is what I want to do, but I also know I'm not ready to do it. And so I'd become good friends with the coaches that were on staff at Stanford. I'd worked all their events, their all-star camp, their little kid camps, and so that's how I met Coach Price. Coach Price was actually the head coach at Menlo College when it was a junior college years before. So my junior college coach, my coach at Menlo, they both were brothers, and they both played for Coach Price. So I kind of had a connection that way, and I begged and pleaded to be his volunteer. My wife and I packed up a U-Haul and drove across the country to chase that dream. So he was such an impact in my coaching career in terms of how he treats people and how he treated the players, and he's as good as guy as there is. Getting that opportunity, then going to South Dakota State, I felt like I was more prepared. I was ready. I certainly had a lot of things to learn and continued to try to grow, but it was an unbelievable opportunity.
And then what got you out here to Sac State as an assistant?
Yeah, so Coach Price and Coach Smith were really, really good friends from their Big West days when Cal Poly and Sac State used to actually be in the same conference. So they were really good friends. So Coach Smith would come out and work Coach Price's baseball camps out in Kansas every summer, and that's where I met Coach Smith. So through Coach Price, the opportunity with Coach Smith came open. Actually, Coach Smith offered me a job to be his assistant after 1 year at South Dakota State. But I wasn't going to leave that opportunity at that point. I had some kids that we had recruited that we had made a commitment to. And honestly, I felt like, that door might not open again, but I was okay with that. And after year 4 at South Dakota State, the door did open. And it was, my wife and I had both 2 of our sons that were born, and it was time for us to come back to California.
And then just real quick too, what would you say to these younger kids that are, I don't know how you feel about it, but playing year round, playing, just 11 months of travel ball and what is, I guess in your opinion is probably a fair way to ask it, is the right time to put your body through that kind of, I would never do it, to be honest, but, we've had numerous people talking about, taking a break or playing multiple sports. What is your take on that? Is there too much going on right now?
Yeah, I think that's obviously a highly debated question. When I was a kid, I grew up in Humboldt County, so you played football, basketball, baseball. That's just what you did. You put the glove down, you went and you You played in the summer, which in Humboldt County summer baseball was bigger than high school baseball just because of the weather. But then football season rolled around and you played football. Basketball season rolled around and you played basketball. But you're also in a situation where every kid can make all three of those teams. I think now, like, my oldest son is a junior. He's not good enough to make the high school basketball team. He doesn't want to play football. So there's a balance now as a parent, like how much is too much. And I do think that it really just depends upon the kid, but I think there's parents, and this, as you guys know, travel baseball has become a business, that are pushing the envelope a little bit too far in terms of having these guys do baseball related activities all year round. And I don't think that, I mean, the research and the science has shown that's not healthy. I just think you have to figure out a time to let them be kids and shut it down and go camping. This summer was actually a blessing in disguise. You get a chance to go camping a couple times with my family. We've been down here in Southern California the last 2 weeks trying to get out of the fires, and just let our kids be kids. But I know it's a challenge because, you don't want to get behind, right? You don't want your kids to get behind. But I just think you have to trust that they're going to be okay. They don't need to do it all the time.
Well, and backing up on that, how important, we've talked to a lot of coaches about this, how important are camps for you? Like if they're paying all this money for travel ball, we've kind of suggested on our show is take that money, and we've heard from other coaches, pick like 3 schools that you want to go to, that your favorite schools, and take that money and go to those camps, because now you're right there in front of all the coaches getting that, do I even like the coach? Do I even want to play for that coach, or
for sure.
Am I good enough? So how big are camps for you guys?
Yeah, I think that's a great opportunity for kids to get in front of coaches on their campus, on their facility, get a chance to see how they interact with the players. I think that's absolutely a huge deal for kids and for coaches. There's no question. I think it's a good situation for both sides.
Yeah, and we asked that just because, like you said, it's pretty highly debatable and it teach their own, I guess. But we also want people to understand, we've talked about, and Tyler was the one that brought it to our attention, is really pay attention to the recruiting calendar. If you're using travel ball as a recruiting tool, well, know when we can be out there to see you. And honestly, if you're not the best guy on your high school team, look at how much you're investing in travel ball. There's other things to do, and you're paying just to play games and not development. But we're trying to get the best info to parents, especially younger kids, how to go about all of it, because it is complicated now, and there is so many options out there, and we just want to make sure people are hearing the right info from people like yourself that make a living coaching this game. It's not just about a paycheck. You're developing.
Pretty darn good at it.
Yeah.
I picked, because I struggle with it. As a parent, as a coach, I picked up a phone 2 weeks ago and called 2 guys that are, in player development of big league teams. I'm like, what are you doing right now with your 16 or 17-year-old guys in the Dominican Republic, for instance, if they're not allowed to play? What are you doing with those guys that would have been, first year out pro ball that signed as high school kids? What are you doing with them? And both guys said that this is the greatest time ever for these guys to get stronger. You can never, getting stronger is not going to set you back in any way. Getting stronger, becoming more athletic. Quite honestly, a lot of these kids have played way more baseball than you and I did at that age, right? Like when I was 10 to 16 years old, we might have played 40 games a year. These guys might play 40 games in 40 days during the course of the summertime. So maybe it's time to take a pause and get after on the strength and conditioning side in a safe way, and know that the baseball will come back at some point, and there'll be plenty of time to get caught up on the games part. But so that's the approach that I've taken as a parent. That's the approach that we're going to take with our players this fall if we're not allowed to do anything more than just the 6 to 8 guys at a time. How strong can we get? How fast can we run? Those types of things.
Well, before we wrap up, Coach, I also want to ask, how is the Sac State looking for 2021 and coming into the fall?
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I mean, it's kind of bummed that the 2020 thing got shut down, because we could really, really pitch. If you go back and look at our numbers, obviously, I think Tyler done a really good job in the transition from Coach Angier coming over, which Coach Angier is at Oregon now, is a really, really good pitching guy. We had some older, more experienced pitchers, and we get all those guys back except Parker Braum. So I think on the pitching side, really excited about it. And we get some position guys back that are older. So we're going to be an older team. And I think we have a chance to do some special things.
Nice. No, well, we wish you the best of luck going forward, and we appreciate you taking some time out of your day to come talk with us. And Tyler spoke very highly, as of many people, and we were just glad that you agreed to do this and talk with us.
Absolutely, I appreciate you guys having me on. Absolutely, big fan of your guys' show. I watched when Coach Bates was on. I love Coach Bates. So he's been fun to coach against, and got some pretty good stories I could tell you off air about some coaching battles that Coach Bates and I had. 2012, when those guys beat us twice to win the WAC tournament, those were two epic games, and those guys walked us off in the 13th. And Coach Bates was awesome, man. I love that guy.
Was that Luplo?
That was Lup. Yeah,
was Lup.
Commented on that, right?
Yeah, that was Luplo. Yeah.
Yeah, I was there. That was.
We shook hands after. You know how you shake hands in line after the game? I'll tell you this quick story. So as we're shaking hands, I mean, it's devastating, right? We were right there, had a chance, and Coach Bates shakes my hand and goes, "Congratulations on Coach of the Year." And I thought to myself afterwards, "You son of a gun, man! You're going to the NCAA tournament. I'm going home. I want nothing to do with the Coach of the Year. You can have the Coach of the Year. I'd rather be in your shoes." So, but no, it was awesome. I mean, think about all the players that are on the field in those two games. They had some big time players, as did we. So it was fun. It was fun.
No, that's awesome stuff. Yeah, I would definitely have to get some stories from there. But like I said, thank you for doing this, yes. And we wish you the best of luck going forward. And hopefully, people take more look at this schedule, and we're definitely going to put it back out there.
I hope this happens.
Yeah, I'd be fun to watch. Some people need to be a little open minded about it. I don't think, like you said in typing it, this isn't perfect. This is an idea. Everything starts from an idea. What can we do? Can we make it grow? And if it gets to a point where they're saying, hey, we don't want teams on a plane traveling here or there, or somebody says, hey, man, we can't afford to go through the 21 season like we would as normal. What are the alternatives? So we saw it on Twitter, and I thought it was fabulous.
Yeah.
So hopefully some more people can take a look at it, and it is an option if need be.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, anyways, with that, we appreciate it, Coach, and we'll talk again.
Sounds good, guys. Take care. Have a good week.
Thank you.
You too.
Right. Bye-bye.
Man, Coach Christiansen, that was some great information right there.
Yeah, gave us a lot of stuff, lots of insight, and I love the schedule. We'll retweet that.
Yeah.
So people can go check it out. Love to even get Basil's thoughts on it, or Gonzalez or Obi's opinion on how that would go. I mean, like I said, I think you're going to get more people in the seats. That'd be definitely one positive too.
I mean, even if you had to make it like 4-4, like who cares?
Right.
You just have, like, say the Central Cal, you have Fresno State, Cal Poly, Bakersfield, and Santa Barbara. And you just do those 4 teams, and you just keep playing like a round robin.
Yeah.
Like, you're getting games in. Like, who cares? This, as long as you get to play competition. But he's a freaking smart guy.
And young coach. A lot of success thus far.
Sac State. I mean, people don't really – it's funny. I talk to guys in the Valley, and, Sac State, and they're thinking – not much about them, but the success Sac State has had in the state of California as a Division I program is really good.
Yeah, and I go back to that baseball in that area is definitely underrated, man. There's a lot of good talent.
Top baseball, you got the Sac Joaquin, that conference. You got the track, and then you got down south. You got with Harvard Westlake and them. So
when you look at what Elk Grove, like we talked about before, what they've produced as far as big leaguers recently, it's pretty impressive. So. We appreciate Coach Christiansen jumping on and just taking some time to talk with us. As far as we go, I think I have to talk to Coach Underwood, but I think we're set to start in like March and go into June. And they're talking about I believe our CMAC play is going to be 3 games a week, and it's going to be so we'll play Edison or Madero, whoever it is, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. So, and it's going to be the same team that whole week, kind of what the junior college do around here. So, be interesting to see how that works and pitching and we'll see if that changes also. But
while you're coaching, I'll probably I'll do play-by-play on our show. We'll have the Hit.OR.DIE play-by-play.
Take stuff out there
since I'm done coaching
for now. I said for now. We'll see. He says he's done coaching.
And if you're interested, come come at me. If anybody needs the best city coach in the area. No, I'm serious, but I am.
Too much, bro. Again, we appreciate everybody that's listening to the show and sharing it and retweeting stuff. That's what helps grow it. So we appreciate all that. Again, the store will be up on Sunday. And we got another great guest next week and another great one the following week. So it's next couple ones should be pretty good. So again, thanks for listening. That's episode 71 of the Hit or Die podcast.
Hit or Die.